here at Shangri Gardens. Since you're not able to come to us, we wanted to come to you. If you're like me, I've been wondering what's been going on at Ruby Lake and what these birds have been doing while we've all been home. So we're gonna go take a look. Follow me in. As we start our adventure today, we know that birds need three main things: food, water, and shelter. So as we're out here and about to look out on Ruby Lake, you might notice three very common birds that are found out here at Shangri-La. The first is the great egret. Look at his long beak made for stabbing fish. He's going to find some out here in Ruby Lake, isn't he? The second is the cormorant. Look at his long hooked bill. It's like he can hook fish just like you would with your fishing pole. The third is the white ibis. It has a very unique beak. It's very long and curved. And he takes that beak and he sticks it in the mud looking for tasty things to eat. So follow me over here. We're going to get a better look on what's outside. We're in the bird blind looking at some of these nesting egrets. If we're really quiet, we might get to see some mamas sitting on their babies. Let's take a look. Birds have a unique adaptation or an outer covering that helps keep them warm but also keeps them dry. Today I'm going to tell you about 4 different types of feathers. The first is called breeding plumage. The second is called a flight feather. The third is called a semi-plume feather. And the last one is called a downy feather. And each one of these feathers does something unique for the bird. So first, let's talk about the breeding plumage. Breeding plumage is only on the male egrets. He has these beautiful fancy feathers because he's trying to impress the female egrets so that they will mate and have a nest and have babies. So you may have seen earlier when we were looking out on Ruby Lake, you may have seen some of these egrets with the plumage. The next feather I want to talk about is the flight feather. Now the flight feather, what do you suppose it does? Right, it's for flying. This is what the bird uses to fly. Well, these feathers also have a really unique adaptation. I want you to take a look at my board here. Who's ever seen a bird preening itself? You know what that means? Where they're taking their feathers and they're pushing them like this. What they're doing is sometimes the feathers get holes in them just like this, and when the bird preens itself, it's putting it back together. So on our board you'll take a look and you'll see different parts of our feather, and in this flight feather, this big stiff part right in the middle, that's called the rachis. It's like the backbone. It's what gives it structure, makes it nice and straight. The second part of our feather that I want to point out is called the barb. And you could think of that kind of like a skeleton. It's on the outside. That's this part. And on each barb, there's something called a barbule. And you can't really see it unless you had a good hand lens, but that acts like zipper teeth. So what it does is when the bird preens, or it pulls its feather like this, it's putting them just like the teeth of a zipper back together. So that's incredibly important on a flight feather. Why do you think? Because it's got to catch air to fly. Right. All right, so the last 2 feathers I want to talk about also serve a very specific purpose. We talked about the breeding plumage, that's to look good. We talked about the flight feathers, that's to fly. And next we're going to talk about semi-plume feathers and downy feathers. Now, semi-plume feathers, you can see it still has some structure to it, but it has some real fluffy part here. And then on this feather here, the downy feather, you can see that it's really fluffy. This feather plays a really important role for the bird, and that's to keep it warm. So each one of these feathers has its own function. The semi-plume feather, it keeps it warm, but it also kind of protects it a little bit too. So that's one you would find in between the flight feathers and the downy feathers. So we have those breeding plumage to make the bird look good. We have those flight feathers so it can fly. We have the semi-plume feathers that help keep it warm but also provide it some structure like our flight feathers. And then we have our downy feathers. That's what keeps the bird warm. It's like fluffy on the underpants, all right? So each one of those feathers is important. All right, we've discussed lots of things having to do with birds today. We talked about the common birds you might find out here on Ruby Lake. We talked about their feathers and all those different adaptations. We talked a little bit about their beaks and some things they might eat and how they're different. We forgot one major component. We said that birds needed three things: food, water, and shelter. That's right. So shelter is their nest. Birds build nests, and when we were out there looking, I know you saw some mama birds and some other birds sitting in their nests, but I have a challenge for you. I want you to make your own nest. Adults, instructions are included, but I want you to keep in mind that not every bird makes the same exact nest. So we saw those nests for our egrets and our cormorants, and they were big flat platform nests. But we also have nests that other birds make that look more basket-like or cup-like. And you can see not all of the materials in the nests are the exact same. And these aren't all natural materials, are they? I see some plastic in here. I see some sticks in here, some twigs, some Spanish moss, some mud maybe, all types of different things. So here's the challenge. I want you to go outside. I want you to find the perfect nest materials, and then I want you to build me a nest of your very own. All right? And if you want, adults, you can go ahead and post it on this post. If not, that's okay too. But the challenge is to build the very best nest you can and share it with us. Oh, it's just you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us today. On behalf of all the Shangri-La Garden staff, we sincerely appreciate it. Adults, you'll find some additional resources in conjunction with this video, some questions, conversation starters, some activities, and some additional research should you need more information. Students, we miss you, we're proud of you, stay curious. All right, I gotta go.